Welcome to the stream, everybody. Welcome on in. Let us continue from where we left off. I don't remember where we left off from, but we did. And I don't remember it even though it was 2 days ago. Why don't I remember it? Because I was very tired. And I'm very tired today as well. Unfortunately. Oh, right. We did the whole mission. I forgot about the whole mission that we did. But don't worry. We did it. And we need to fast travel. Can we fast travel? We still can't fast travel. We need to go through the gates of madness. Hey, what's up, Harry? Welcome to the stream. Enjoying a cold beer after a long day of searching the malls for a nice dress for my ex, says Harry. Well, I hope you found it. And I suppose. And enjoy your beer. Hopefully you will enjoy the stream as well. I'm not sure where we're looking. Oh, now it's... That place that we were just at, that's a special place. I think. Because it didn't allow me for fast travel. I'm not sure what that is all about. I don't understand. And here we are back at the Palace of New Shelf, I think? Or Sheogorath. Either way. Hello.
Mad God's blessings, Your Grace.
Absolutely. My grace. Hey, fools.
Always a pleasure. Yes,
it's not always a pleasure.
Require?
He hates me. Yes, Grey March?
In the Fringe, you can see for yourself the devastation that accompanies the Grey March.
That's what we saw last
Let's hope
stream.
You are up to the task of stopping it.
I was up to the task of stopping it this time, so I don't really see why I wouldn't be. There were knights.
The appearance of the Knights of Order heralds the beginning of the Grey March.
We had seen the knights already.
As Lord Sheogorath feared, our time grows ever shorter.
Do they have any weaknesses? Besides fire?
Although they are not composed of flesh, as you know it, like any other enemy, they
flesh as you know it.
With sword and spell. Separate
because I don't know all the flesh.
Bone, and they will die. When they do so, their crystalline hearts often remain intact. These hearts are a source of power for the agents of Order.
Do I need to get them out for them to die? Because I did notice that some of them were respawning. Where are they coming from?
Unlike typical invaders, the knights do not arrive by conventional means. Instead,
typical invaders arrive by conventional means
into this realm.
They're not conduits.
These crystalline obelisks have existed throughout the realm for all of
Managed to find something nice. Knee-long, turtleneck.
Ooh, that's as the Grey March progresses.
I like turtleneck dresses. I like that. That's an interesting idea. I don't think I've seen many. I suppose, I mean, just it's not very often for women to wear dresses. Unless, you know, it's a special place. Sleeveless, beige color, classy. And made from cashmere wool. I don't know what cashmere wool is. Although, sounds good. Sounds nice and fancy. Where are they coming from?
Unlike typical invaders, the knights do not arrive by...
Didn't you just say that? Oh, right, because I didn't move it away. How do we stop them?
Lord Sheogorath has never succeeded
I had my
in
mouse
doing
over
so.
it.
They continue to grow in numbers until Jigalag himself
My beard is wet.
arrives.
I was drinking
That
before the stream, and now I'm all
by destroying
drooly.
the obelisks.
Hey, Jung, welcome to the stream. How's it going?
To the Isles.
You say fellow humans, but... Well, that's all for now.
Very well, Your Grace.
Very well.
Will there be anything else?
Yes, the obelisks.
The obelisks operate by reflecting and focusing energies in order to create a portal to this realm. They can be overloaded and rendered inert by placing
I thought I had
the
asked him
crystalline
about
hearts
this
of the
already.
knights into the obelisk itself.
Obelisk.
Each heart will increase the power of the obelisk until it eventually overloads and shuts down, closing the portal.
Thank you very much.
My work is never done.
Sheogorath.
News of your success in the Fringe.
I'm drinking water.
precedes
Just
you.
water.
To further
I was thinking
victory,
why I'm feeling
I have
thirsty.
An important task for
Bex.
you to perform. You will seek the
I was,
assistance of Relmina
I don't know why I'm thirsty.
to rebuild the Gatekeeper. You remember?
Dunno.
The creature!
It's just been hot today. Maybe that is it.
With the Gatekeeper restored and Zedillion in operation, we won't have to worry about anything getting in. Things already here are another matter. You'll need to speak with Relmina Verenum. She'll help you with your task.
That's not the name.
Strange woman has some unusual tastes. With
Oh,
that,
I remember her.
things should be secure.
She's the
I can feel things start to get a little
one of the
hairy.
one of the first characters
And
we
not in
met
a good
when we
way,
arrived.
Like on your head.
I was just editing tomorrow. Yeah, I think I remember Relmina Verenim.
A powerful sorcerer.
She had
Maybe a
blood in
genius.
her room.
And a complete lunatic. All in all, my kind of person. I brought
He
her
flatters
to my
himself.
realm so she could continue to study her sixth element. Honestly, I didn't know there were 5 already. She's a bit obsessed with it. And with me. Makes dealing with her difficult. You shouldn't have any problems, though. No one likes you that much.
The 5th, the 6th element, and the 5th, and it is interesting that this setting has apparently a notion of the 6th and the 5th element, because the reason why, so how does this work? Basically, there's something called the theory of matter, and the theory of matter is the study, I suppose, the scientific study, or I suppose you don't need to be very scientific about it, but it still would be somewhere around there, that tries to explain how things exist. And for a long time, in fact, since ancient Greece. Who were those? The Numidians? I think the Numidians were the first to propose the existence of something called an atom. Of course, they didn't call it an atom at the time, even though atom is a Greek word, ancient Greek word. But it doesn't matter. They didn't call it that. This was like 700 BCE, somewhere around there. And so I think the Numidians, I'm not sure if it was the Numidians, but let's just go with it. It was the Numidians. They proposed that that an atom existed that was basically what made up all matter. And this was very many years ago, of course. And at the time, science wasn't as advanced as it was today, or as it was even in the medieval era. So what happened is that I think Socrates, or some famous philosopher, decided, no, atoms, that's nothing. That's not real. What is real is fire, earth, what was the other one? Air and water. That is the one. So those are the 4 elements that compose all of the things that we see. So, you know, what is a tree made of? It's earth, made of earth, I think, or water a little bit. I don't know. It's just that's like, it's really, really ham-fisted in its a theory that's really ham-fisted in its sort of explanation. But that is where the 4 elements come from. Somebody tried to explain the existence of matter, while at the same time being basically fundamentally wrong, and also wrong for the wrong reasons, because it was a bunch of, like, the reason why Socrates or Aristotle or whoever thought of that didn't like the Numidians. They might have not been the Numidians, as I said. I don't remember the name. But the reason why he didn't like them was, I think, some sort of like, they don't like the same soccer team I do, or something like silly like that. So not only was he wrong, because, you know, obviously there are no such thing as the 4 elements that compose all of matter, but also it was for stupid reasons. So that's where the 5th element comes in, or actually, that's in that wake that the 5th element comes in. The 5th element is trying to explain another. I don't remember exactly why the 5th element exists, but I think they were trying to explain either gravity or something like that, or some like other energy, and there must be a sixth element, and the 5th element was ether. It was called ether. Whatever it was gonna be, that was the name. The thing is, like, all of that is incorrect, as we learned eventually. And actually, we learned it very, very recently. At the beginning of the 19th century, sorry, at the beginning of the 20th century, there was still discussion as to, because we still hadn't seen the atom. Can you imagine? In the 1900s, or rather in the beginning of the 20th century, people were still of the mind of maybe the world isn't made up of atoms. It's different things. But then they eventually saw the atom, and things got settled down a little bit. But yeah, it's a fairly recent discovery. But that's where it comes from a very, very real and historical explanation that has its roots traced, and it just becomes part. It's just one of those things that it's hand waved away in video games because it's just fun, and Pokemon does it, and that's really the reason. That joke that I am now rambling about thoroughly, that joke about I didn't even know the fifth one existed, it's all about Pokemon. Grey March, Cheogorath. Grey March.
It's all moving faster than I'd expect.
Travabar, welcome to the stream. How was Midsummer for... Wait a minute. Was it Midsummer? Midsummer started. Is it Midsummer?
Get that Gatekeeper in place. And do it quickly. I'm not sure how much time I have left.
Ditch the ranting isles. What about Jigalag?
He's almost here.
Why is a Link a pick a girl?
Feel it.
It's a...
You won't like him as much as me. He doesn't even carry
he
a
was
cane.
looking for a dress.
Or the giant bone-cleaving sword type.
I saw a picture of the Cyberpunk presentation.
If
But
he's
I
on
didn't see
his
the
way,
presentation.
I'm on my way out. I already feel...
Something atoms and Pokemon.
Myself.
Only thing I heard.
Not quite
That's
someone
basically
else,
the
but
gist
not
of it,
quite
Young.
myself.
And now we are off to rebuild the Gatekeeper.
It's essential.
I was going to say Great Keeper,
Simply
but
essential.
it's not a very great
If
keeper.
only it were essentially simple, but it's not. I want him there guarding those gates.
A lot of his jokes revolve around the same thing, don't they?
Show up.
Play of
He
words.
should be ready for them.
It's not very good that it does that.
Do to just let them in if more show up. And more always show up. Still and all, I think things are going well, considering. Go talk to Relmina in Zosselm. Tell
Atomic
her
Pokemon.
working for me. Oh, she'd do anything for me, that little minx.
Okay, well, that's...
Send Relmina my love. That'll get her going.
I will not be doing any of the sort. I don't know where we're supposed to go. I think we're supposed to go out this door, even though the game is telling me to go out the other one. That is correct. The game
The
is
saints
just
stand strong, Your Grace.
an idiot.
Your Grace.
I mean, the second chapter of Original Sin 2, to be honest, the game tends to be boring. Crappy quests. The quests are basically, they're very, well... There's a lot of options in the quests, in the side quests. There's a lot of hidden ways of completing side quests. So if you're creative, if you're really, like, going out of your way and do things in a different way, the game rewards you for being adventurous in your quest resolution. And that's where the quest design comes in. More so than I think even like the writing itself. I think the quest resolution is really where the quest design is good. Nuclear Pokemon exists, even though you wrote it wrong, but still. Zayzelm. Zayzelm is our place. Immediately being attacked. Hi. Oh. It's a Soonflesh Atronac, but also being attacked by a skeleton. Is that the first time I'm being attacked by a skeleton? Maybe it isn't. It's a real shame that this spell that we've been using for so long is so powerful. Kind of wanted to make better spells. So we've been here before. If not on a quest, I don't think we were here on a quest, but we were here in exploration, and we are going to Zayzelm. Well, it's gonna be very easy to tell if we have indeed been here through exploration, because we can look at minimap. We have not been here through exploration. Nice. Stupid, wicked sights. What? I'm not even pronouncing things. And why is Sheogorath so Scottish? He's not. He's American, pretending to be Scottish. I don't know. He just, Wes Johnson decided to go out of his way. He actually, I think, like, there's not every line is delivered amazingly, but I think he does a very good performance and definitely elevates the game and the writing to a new level that probably wouldn't be there if the developers had gotten a different voice actor to do the thing. I'm trying to grab my shoe. That's why, like, my hands are over here. I'm doing everything with my feet. I see my shoe. I will get my shoe. I'm sorry. My new desk is still not in. I have my shoe. I have another shoe down there, and I'm gonna get. Never seen a British person playing an American with a British accent? Wait. That would be an interesting thing. Darth Pixaris, welcome to the stream. Grabbing my shoes. They're gone. They're gone. No more shoes. Oh, surprise of surprises. Skeletons. Without heads. Wait a minute. These are weird designs. I haven't really looked at them before. Oh! That is a replete shambles. What does that even mean? Replete is not... What? It's like a mistranslation. Can you, like, if you went on to Google Translate and the original name was, like, full shambles, you know, in the original language or something, and then full can translate as replete under the right circumstances, and then instead of being like a full sedan, no, it's a replete sedan. In this case, it's a shambles, which in itself is a weird name, but you can name any... Stop it. You can name anything, so it's not like shambles doesn't work. I'm not gonna get them all into the Let's Play. I'm foreseeing like last stream I was already complaining about the combat, and rattle me bones. I know that from somewhere. Shiver me timbers and rattle me bones. Something or other and something or other. Yeah, that's from Divinity Original Sin 2 or 1 rather, and it's really weird. I think it is from there. I just recently played Elder Scrolls Online, and Shell there doesn't sound Scottish. That is a big... That's weird that he doesn't, because... oh, I fell down here. Because it's very memorable. People who like the Shivering Isles, which is the DLC that I'm playing right now, definitely tend to recall Sheogorath as being very eccentric and lunatic. It's weird that they would miss the opportunity to hire Wes Johnson. And it's not like he's not working. He does his thing. Wes Johnson is the voice actor. Okay, this guy needs a little bit of love. This is zero challenge. None of this is challenging. It's just good to do on a stream because you got people in comments, in chats, and saying things, and it's all nice. You expect proper naming in Sheogorath's domain. Wait, proper naming? What do you mean proper? Oh, this is new though. Yes, but the quest lacks substance and deepness. Oh, yeah, you shouldn't. That's not what the game is for. Maybe the main quest has substance and deepness, maybe, but the side quests don't. There go like from go A to B and C. No. That's what I'm saying. It's not that. Like, there's other ways of doing it. They're just not immediately obvious. And you're not. I admit it sounds like that. It looks like that. The first time, well, nah, it doesn't always look like that. But many quests look like that. I will give it to you, Harry. That many of the side quests do look like go here, do that, and do like and this and that. But I think that's more because of the reliance on combat that the game has, and it does have a lot of reliance on combat. But there are a lot of hidden paths that are not immediately obvious, and there's a lot of simple ways of doing quests, and a lot of very complicated ways of doing quests. Maybe not every quest has like a big bunch of different ways of doing things, but but there's a lot of options there, but they're just not obvious. So I understand where you're coming from. It's just not obvious. Besides that, the quest like a good story motivate. Yeah, no good story motivate. That is the problem with the writing. But yeah, I mean, I should just sort of hand wave that away. One of my favorite games of all time is Fallout 1, and that game has zero motivation for everything. It's just, I mean, I guess I want the water thingy. That's fine, whatever. And you know, it just works. But I mean, I suppose it's a legitimate criticism. Think about side quests that Sabine has, and compare it to, let's say, the ones that Morrigan has. Yeah, it's a different approach to storytelling. You don't get the same motivations for sure. This takes place like 1,000 years before, and Shio likes to change. Oh, that's a good explanation. Replete shamblers. Right. Okay, I understand. It's not like I'm not even making. I'm just having fun. You know, I'm not even criticizing the. I'm just having fun. I'm not criticizing the game legitimately. And I'm not making. I mean, I am making fun of the game. It's just like, because it really does feel like it's a mistranslation. It's just and I know it isn't, because Bethesda is basically all people here are American. Certainly at the time of Oblivion being made, it's everybody from Maryland. Everybody's an intern. And these great skinned hounds are a pain in the butt. It's also a funny name, Great Skinned Hound. It's not a skinned great hound. No. Oh, it's actually a greater skinned hound. But that's funny because it comes from the gaming convention of just calling it anything greater. It's a greater skeleton warrior. You know what I mean? Anything, literally anything. A greater replete shambles. It works. It's weird if people don't know what it is. But Fallout 1, at least when it came out, it had such an original world and setting that just captivated you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Like, I'm not. The thing is, I don't think that as a criticism. I think it's a thing that you can observe about games, that they don't give you a good incentive to continue. But if that doesn't work for you, it's totally fine. That doesn't work for you, and if you want to criticize the game for that, absolutely. But I don't think it's really a universally bad thing. I think, for me, what I'm saying is that even after all these years, 20-something years that Fallout 1 has been out, going on for 25, even after all these years, Fallout 1 still works, I feel, precisely because there's so many different options for the side quests. And there's not really that many options on the side quests. There's some options. Most side quests have different ways of being completed. Most of the options really come from the dialogues more than quest completion stuff like that. But it's just that it does require a different approach to writing to give you the sort of motivation that BioWare gives you. And you just need to look at Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 to see that motivation working. Specifically, I like using Baldur's Gate 2 to work as a motivation, because it's one of the examples that sort of... It's like a formative experience for me. What do we have here? I mean, besides me being shot at. Wow. People oh, a failed experiment. You can't fool me, that's a zombie. We also have buttons. Not sure I know what those buttons are for. But clicking them both, I suppose... Oh, there's more buttons over here. Click all the buttons. Always click all the buttons. Especially when you're standing next to a skeleton that is labeled magically, though it may be failed experiment. Oh, this is a combination lock. No, it isn't. It's simple. Maybe I disabled all these by clicking the buttons down there. I hope it was, because that makes the room interesting. It was interesting already. My Fallout 1 character after 500 days. What was that supposed to do again? You can't last for that long unless you have the mod. You sure not? That's not mistranslation. Do you think Sheo speaks English natively? No, I mean like real life mistranslation. What I mean by Baldur's Gate 2, I was gonna say it as a sort of formative example for me. I played Baldur's Gate 2 before I played Baldur's Gate 1. I saw Baldur's Gate 2 being played before I saw Fallout 2 being played. Right around the same time, but Baldur's Gate was probably one of my first RPGs that I saw. Not my first that was not the first game that I played. I think I played Fallout 2 before I played Baldur's Gate 2. But I played Baldur's Gate 2 before I played Fallout 1 or Baldur's Gate 1. So it's one of my first RPGs ever. And I was sort of always took at face value the beginning of Baldur's Gate 2. And it is sort of a spoiler, so if you haven't played Baldur's Gate 2, I'm not going to spoil it for you. But there is this character that whose fate you are supposed to be attached to, and I saw. So I played Baldur's Gate 2, and at the beginning you get that whole thing about the fate of that character, and you're like, okay, well that's where the story goes, and I'm gonna do the game with that in mind. But one of the first criticisms that I saw at any game, really, it just happened to be a criticism levied against Baldur's Gate 2. Which was the fact that if you don't care about that character, the game loses all urgency. And it doesn't work in particular in Baldur's Gate 2, because Baldur's Gate 2 does assume that you have that urgency. Fallout 1 doesn't. So in Fallout 1, if you care about the water chip, your character is allowed to make it urgent, and you can say, oh no, I'm really worried about the water chip, let's do this. But if you don't care about the water chip, whatever. The game lets you do your own thing. So it works in Fallout 1 because it works both ways. In Baldur's Gate 2, it doesn't work like that. In Baldur's Gate 2, you need... the game always assumes, with the text of the game, like with what the characters say and with what your character says, and with what the narrator says. It assumes that you're in an urgency. Specifically, I think the narrator, and there's a couple of options that your character is forced to say here and there that just sound like you're in a hurry, even though you might not be, which is a problem. That is a problem. That is objectively a problem in Baldur's Gate 2, both because if you don't care about that character, you're not going to be in an urgency to beat the game. You're just going to be going around doing side quests, and also that the game is just mismatched, tonally mismatched, if you don't play as a character that cares about the other character's fate. And I think seeing that criticism about Baldur's Gate 2, which is a game that taught me about RPGs, seeing that criticism and just sort of taking it in at face value and being like, that's an interesting criticism. Very early on, is like, that was one of the first sort of review. I don't even know if it was a review that I read online about games. I was like, that really changed the way I understand the motivation that games give you. Not that, what I mean by that is that it allowed me to actually try to be critical about when a game assumes that you have motivation. And there's a right way of doing that. There's a right way of the game assuming that you have a motivation, which is what Fallout 1 does, and other games do that as well. And there's a wrong way of doing it. The thing is, and to bring this whole conversation, this whole ramble back to the beginning, is the thing is that if you want your game to make you hurried, like what BioWare does that a lot, you really need to take some sacrifice. Not sacrifices in like you can't do the sort of game that BioWare does. You absolutely can, but you need to take some sacrifices in the type of story that you're gonna tell, and you need to make the story very character driven. Because that's the way that the game has to push you towards a direction. Dragon Age, for example, which I believe is the best BioWare game that I've played. Dragon Age is really good. In the urgency build up, but that's because you have all these characters. And actually, I say about Dragon Age out of my memory, but you were referring Morrigan before. It's a great example. Morrigan really entices you, really urges you with the beginning of her story, particularly, to make her questline or for you to understand, to go through her quest line. And at the end of the game, she also urges you. There's this whole thing going on with her. I don't know if it's related to her romance only, or if you can avoid that. But her romance has good setup. It's good pacing. It's just like it's obvious that whoever wrote her, and actually, who wrote her? Was it Gator? Was it Gator who wrote her? I'm not sure. Either way, it's obvious that whoever wrote her knows that pacing, and that pacing is very important to making you as a player just sort of want to do anything about her. And Alistair is another example of that. Alistair, I feel, even though he's silly and goofy, and honestly I don't like his tone very much, but that's just BioWare. Silly and goofy is BioWare. Alistair urges you on with his continued dialogues, and I think it works well for him, and it works well for Dragon Age. It's just that not every game can pull that off, because if it's a game that is very detached, it's very big and broad in scope, that it doesn't work like that. That's why you never do the main quest in Elder Scrolls games, and that's why the Oblivion main quest doesn't work very well if you just do a little bit at the beginning and then stop doing it. I think the way I'm doing it in this Let's Play, the Oblivion main quest, the way I'm doing it in this Let's Play is the perfect way, which is do all the side quests first. Just don't touch the main quest at all. Do all the side quests. Learn the world without the main quest, and then do the main quest. And it has I think it will have the biggest impact. It's gonna be really boring. It's gonna be really boring. But in the Let's Play, it's gonna be fantastic, because it's just gonna be half an hour of me doing the boring bit, which is like 10 hours of gameplay into a half an hour, and we're just gonna be all happy. You don't have to do the romance. If you're a female, she will ask you to convince Alistair. Yeah, I think somebody had told me that. Colonel, since there was several time limits in Fallout 1, can you avoid and prevent mutant invasion of some places? Don't remember if it happened in my playthrough. I think so. Yeah. It's not very difficult to prevent the mutant invasions. I think they only start at 90 days. And if you recover the water chip before the 90 days, they only start like at 150 days. It's not that difficult. And in fact, most of the times, my finished times, my first finished games of Fallout 1, I didn't get any mutant invasions. It was only like many times into finishing, like on my 10th playthrough that I ever got a mutant invasion. I saw that ending, I was like, what the heck happened? Why did that happen? And I probably just spent a bunch of time healing or something like that, just so I wouldn't use my stim packs that I inevitably finished the game with, many of them. Anyway, I like how our story continues with Witch Hunt DLC, and another thing that I love about BioWare is in both Dragon Age and Mass Effect is important previous save, and Baldur's Gate 2 as well. Previous saves and how choices affect the sequels. That's amazing. Yeah, Baldur's Gate 2, you don't import... only the expansion of Baldur's Gate 2 gets affected by the choices, which is not saying much, because the expansion of Baldur's Gate 2 sucks. In terms of storytelling, it's just really bad. And doesn't have many choices anyway. But you can import the character from Baldur's Gate 1, which I think is more of a cool thing from building your own character than anything else, really. You can make Alistair more serious if you make the proper choices. That's interesting. Yeah, Dragon Age is great. Mutant invasions. That is the mutant invasions in Fallout 1. Basically, the army, the lieutenant's army, invades a bunch of places. I don't know what is the first one to be invaded. I think the first one is Necropolis. Just, they kill everybody in there. And then after that, I don't actually know the order, but there's an order. There's a set order. Which can be really surprising, because if you arrive very late in the Necropolis, there's no ghouls there, and it's just a bunch of mutants that are like, I don't remember this being like this. I think it is Necropolis. It's been a long while for me, though. Oh, look at that. Empty tunnels. Can you see the aftermath? Oh yeah, it just has a bunch of mutants in there. You go to those places, and instead of having the quest lines that you're used to, just doesn't have any NPCs, just has mutants. They're all taken. I thought they were saying that the starting village mutants if you take too long. No, the starting village doesn't get invaded. In Vault 1, there's no starting village. There's Vault 13, basically. That's really cool, by the way. My experience with Vault 13 is precisely of playing Fallout 2, hearing about Vault 13, and never finding it, because I never finished Fallout 2 before I played Fallout 1. And I heard about Vault 13, and then I played Fallout 1, and it immediately starts at Vault 13, and I'm like, oh, it's like a prequel. For me, Fallout 1 is like a prequel. It works exactly like that, because not having finished Fallout 2, you just have like these myths about Vault 13, and then you get to play from it, and it's like kind of cool. Hi. Please don't do that. Oh, definitely don't do that. Skeletal champignon. Huh. Oh, silver arrows, though. Pretty good. Okay, so this opens this. What in the heck? Naked people. Good news. Right. Oh! That's cool, actually. That is really cool. That is so cool. This game never pulls that off. Ever. I wonder if you can kill the zombies just by clicking that button, though. And I wonder if that is the intention. But I think it worked really well. I don't think we can go up there, not from here. Mutiny, noun, an open rebellion against the proper authorities. Does it have to be the proper authorities? I think so, yeah. Especially by soldiers or sailors against their officers. Yeah, the context that I use that I hear that the most in is in sailing, in boats. Hunger versus shambles. Experiments set up an hypothesis, hunger versus shambles with elven catalyst. While generally an even match, these two shambles versus a single hunger, previous experiments have indicated that the presence of a warm body causes the hunger to increase its ferocity. This territorial hunting imperative, which is not territorial because that means literally territorial, either way, is completely lacking in the shambles. They seek to destroy life, not devour it. In this case, I have confined a hunger to his cage, while leaving an unspoiled high elf female in viewing distance. Hungers seem to have a particular thirst for elf maiden blood, and this one, on the verge of flowering, gross, should be a particularly irreversible morsel. I hypothesize that the hunger will fight with greater force and precision in the upcoming battle after I let the creature and elf maiden stew a while in, that's not one word, in each other's proximity. I shall return in a few days to run the experiment. It's important to point out that it is gross, the usage of the word itself, but it also is a kid, so oh, no. This person exists, which means it isn't a kid. It's a very late bloomer, as it were. See, bloomer is a better word than whatever you used. So, push all the buttons. Ow, ow. Oh, did you die? Oh, no, you're off. Well, that's what happens. I thought it was that not mutants. And LA Boneyard, oh, gets invaded. Yeah, it was invaded first, and then Necropolis. They 110. Okay. Yeah, the Boneyard does. I did get the Boneyard invaded. I think so. That sounds like a dirty thing. Got my Boneyard invaded, if you know what I mean. That's the. Is the Boneyard an actual place, by the way? To those of you who live in the United States. Does LA have anything to do with the Boneyard? Is that a logical thing for it to exist? Look at the super tiny things. Those are super tiny. Those are not supposed to be that tiny. That's what she said. Oh wait, and they just make them really small. to fit. Stitched Flesh Atronach. First off, you can't fool me. You're not an Atronach. Secondly, the other ones were stitched as well. This is torn flesh. No! They're all torn and stitched. Hiccups and burps. Boneyard is just the remains of LA, I think. No. Where's Bakersfield? Bakersfield is LA. Everything. The whole game is in LA. Am I wrong on that? I thought the whole Game of Fallout 1 is in LA. Bakersfield is a... might be wrong on that. Either way, you can easily check. But Bakersfield, I say Bakersfield because Necropolis is Bakersfield. It's referred to in the text of the game as Vault 8, I believe. There's a reference. Right, more experiments, I suppose. Just some corpses. I mean, I suppose I should check. I don't know why it makes this noise. I'll let your imagination run rampant. 3 gold up there. Okay, this is quite a place. You know, if you pull it off once... Ow. Wow, these guys punch. If you pull it off once, that's cool. Second time, not so much. Bakersfield is a different city in California. It's Deerhorn. Welcome to the stream, by the way. It's worth mentioning that many cities belong to LA. Like Santa Monica, for example, is part of LA. It is also a city, as far as I know. Or Vacaville is also... No, Vacaville is a county, I think. I'm not sure. And it's also part of LA, I think. Because LA is like a big thing. It's not like the traditional... It's not like London. It's like the London area. Failed experiment. And a mort flesh over there. California. I understand the difference between California and Los Angeles. Los Angeles. Los Angeles. I don't know how to pronounce it properly. I hate it. These guys are annoying. The last time I checked, I don't know why I was checking, but I was checking, like, there's a list on Wikipedia about the, I don't know if it's the counties, I think it is the counties that belong to LA, and the list is sorted by, well, you can sort it by name, of course, but also by population and by date of entrance, and there's like, basically LA has been growing and growing over the years, and the latest one I think is from 2004, and I'm pretty sure it's like Sacramento or something like that. That is not part of LA, but I don't know if it's like greater LA metropolitan area. Project Hound's Blood Day 7. That's all the days, actually. Day 1, my theory stated before trial is thus. Blending the most recent concoction of a hound blood with that from a headless zombie will result in a beast with greater fury and resistance to pain. Subject 1 has the current concoction. The Subject 2 has the new mixture. Subject 1 lasted approximately 1 minute before expiring, having done average amount of injury to Subject 2. Subject 2 seemed not to notice most of the injuries it received. After a drawn-out battle, Subject 1 killed Subject 2, but suffered near-fatal wounds. Subject 2 fought to the bitter end with same energy it started with. Subject 1 went out very quickly. Subject 1 lasted less than a minute. Subject 2 took little injury. The test 2 is Subject A and B both have the standard blood. Subject C and D both have the new blood. Lasted just over a minute, the battle, both hounds suffering grievous injury. and somewhat bothered by their wounds. Nearly identical results lasted over 2 minutes, both hounds suffering grievous injury. Neither seemed very winded or bothered by their wounds. Lasted under 1 minute, both suffering grievous injury. Neither seemed very bothered by their wounds. It seems my original theory was correct. In future trials, I will try watering down the headless zombie blood before adding it to the mixture to gain some insight into the actual potency of the blood itself and determine how much of the additional effect is coming from its combination with the existing ingredients. The experiment set up with an hypothesis is thus. I have paired up a hound and a shambles of equal fighting capacity. However, I have recently drained the hound of its zombie blood and replaced it with blood extracted from a Breton corpse, which had lain for a week rotting in the hot sun. When I return, having let it acclimate to its new supply of vital fluid, I expect the hound will perform with much less efficiency than normal, because Bretons apparently suck or something. Oh, this is the experiment. It's a shambles and a hound, all right. Can I go in there? I don't think I can. It's called Boneyard because of the... Well, that was that. It's called Boneyard because of the wretched cities and... Oh, and considering how big LA is. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. I would say it's the actual city, not counting other towns that are considered to be part of LA, like how it is New York. Yeah, but if it's New York City, or New York State, which is a different thing. That's the map from Vampire Bloodlines. Yeah, I can't link to you right now what I was referring to. But there's basically a list on Wikipedia. I don't know what it refers to. Well. There's heads and shambles skulls. Now, nobody cares about the shambles skulls, but the void essence, I like. Nope. Three times game. Seriously? It's all failed experiments. When are we gonna find a successful experiment? It's also... That's not how failed experiments works. We have read about the experiments. They're dead test subjects. The experiment doesn't fail. That's not... it's like, you know, you try, let's see if this blood works. Or let's see how much this blood works. You don't... It doesn't fail. You register the results and continue with your investigation. Right. It's another one of these. Oh. Soon. Oh, that's bad news. Soon flesh Atronach. At least that thing is not shooting at me. Cities usually have what is called a metropolitan area, which is a large geographic footprint, which would include other tiny cities. So Houston, for example, as a thought of, actually consists of Houston proper, but many, many little cities and municipalities. Yeah, that sounds about right, honestly. I think it's the same with LA, New York, and Miami, Chicago, etc. It is not the same here, though. Here in Portugal, we don't have that notion. Like, because the main divider in terms of politics, and when I say politics, I mean you're voting, who you vote for and stuff like that. Because the main divider is the municipalities. So you elect a mayor. That's how you think of the distribution here in Portugal. So basically what happens is, for example, here in the city that I live, it's called Maia. It's a city of like 50,000 people. but it's not a city. I mean, it has a city. It doesn't. It's about 50,000 people that live there. But there's the whole area around the city, which is just houses. You know, it's not like it's a city. It's like it has forests and stuff like that. So it's this whole population. It's just like it's Europe. You know how it is. There's no deserts basically. There's always houses. Always houses wherever you go. There's always houses. If they're like you can always see houses no matter how far away you go. You're always like there's places where you cannot see houses, but you can always go. You can go through the whole country while seeing houses. If they're not right next to you, they're like 100 meters down the road. You can go from any place to any place without always seeing houses. But the point is, so Maya is a city, right? And we vote for the mayor, and it's actually you don't vote for the mayor, you vote for the party of the mayor, and then they have the mayor who's in the head of the party. But if like the mayor dies or something, somebody else will take their place, or because basically it's the party that works. But that doesn't matter. The point is, you vote for that thing. So even though I am in the grand, like the what would you call it? You said the metropolitan area. I'm in the metropolitan area of Porto, which is a bigger city. The city itself being the whole municipality of 300,000 people. And then all the other municipalities around it are considered the area of the Grande Porto, as it were, or in Portuguese it would be Grande Porto. But if I say it like that, you can't understand half the syllables, so it's because Portuguese is weird. Anyway, the point is, I don't consider myself a citizen of Porto, even though I'm in the district of Porto. You know, like because that's the other division above the municipalities is the district, and Portugal has like 18 districts. And there's a city that is the capital of each district. Those districts don't really matter much, apart from some divisions that is just easier for people to understand where they come from, but they don't really work for any real reason or for any real. No, they you know there's some things that like there's some things that it works for, like for example the distribution of hospitals. Like if you're in a hospital that needs to defer to other hospitals, your hospital like it needs to send you to a better hospital. It tends to be to the capital of the district that you're in. Usually stuff like where you register your house, you register your car, it needs to be in the capital of the district that you're in, stuff like that. But the district is enormous. It's not the area of the Grande Porto is actually smaller than the district, a lot smaller than the district. So it's like the metropolitan area of the city only really exists in our heads. It doesn't really exist in any other way. So I'm not really sure how real basically the distinction of LA sort of metropolitan area is, because I think it works differently on the United States. Because as far as I know, there's the districts. What a district is called in the United States is also specifically for political reasons, and it's divided. It's the division of each state, which is basically what works with Portugal. Except in Portugal we have one state only, which is Portugal. You do have provinces, but some provinces only have one district, and other provinces have two, which is basically the difference. Actually, there's one province that has 3 districts. Anyway. Yesterday was my 26th birthday, says Blood Angel Veronis. Happy birthday, belated though it may be. I hope you had a good day, and you're still many years away from getting to where I'm at. Not many years away, 7 years away. You're a young person. Where I live, says Harry, we have the suburbs, unincorporated. I don't know what that means. That is an interesting word. And the greater metro area, which consists of all the cities on a radius of 30 kilometers from the main city. The metro area has a council. That's the same word that we use here in Portugal for the municipality thing. It's council. It translates into council. That's the word that we use. Which I believe in English is parish. I think that's the same thing. Parishes are our councils. The suburbs are so close, like in the northern area, we have a street that goes from the lake to the sea. The buildings on the right side are in the main city, and the ones on the left are in the suburb. That's an interesting distinction, especially that bit where you say unincorporated. I don't know what that might mean. There's few municipalities here that have that has more than one town. I'm old now, says Blood Angel. No, you're not. You don't know old. You wish you knew old. I wouldn't let anyone know my age then, says the horn. Oh, I thought parish was a church thing. Actually, yeah, you're right. I mean... What do I mean? What is the word that I'm looking for? I think you're right. Although, you know, because most of European countries are Christian countries, things get mixed up sometimes. In Louisiana, a state in the U.S., they have parishes instead of counties, left over from Spanish occupation and Catholic Church influence. Yeah. Yeah. Here in Portugal, there's also mixed up. I think the word for our councils, because they're very analogous. Like our councils, which is the municipalities, our councils are usually analogous to the, what are they called? It's actually not the councils that are analogous. There's another, I forgot that there's another one. So every municipality here in Portugal has multiple subdivisions. Like smaller, like 10,000 people, maybe 15,000 people at most, and some of them have like 2,000 people. In a council of like 50,000, and they do not, that has no translation whatsoever. The word itself is freguesia, which is just, I can't even understand how to translate that. Does this lead anywhere? Corpse pit. No. Why would I want to go to the corpse pit? There's naked people down there. Whee! They're not failed test subjects. I wonder what that means. Is it because their skin is smooth? Oh no. Yeah, I'm not gonna kill them. We have some interesting things in here. Boots of shock resistance. And the base necklace of the sea. That is bad. I guess I understand what the corpse pit is, but I really don't have time to deal with them. Let's go through here. They're still after me though, the jerks. I hear people crying. Oh my god.
If you die, I will bring you back to life.
Please stop!
There's naked people up here as well. In Relmina Verenim. I don't know what this zombie is doing. Municipalities in Sweden have a lot of independence of each other and the state. Yeah, that sounds about like here in Portugal. I remember my sister mixing up prostitute and Protestant. That's not how it's written, Blood Angel. Protestant. It sounds the same though. But that is a different thing altogether. The origin of the name Protestant is interesting as well. Texas is my number place to visit. Number one place, I suppose, Young. If I ever go to travel. Because of the meat. You just want to have a nice blue steak, Young. Unincorporated means that they have their own mayor and local council, but some things like water, power, garbage, public transport are common. Oh, that's interesting. The members of the metro area council are the mayors of the cities from the metro area. There are naked people in here. Of course, you know, like that's the thing that you say if you arrive to a place where there's naked people. Of course you're gonna say that. It's like there's naked people. People are naked over here. What? You know? I would react. I'd react. I mean, I'd never been in a place like that. But if I were, to hypothetically, I would say things. Especially if I had friends to talk to and be like, "Hoi, there's naked people over here." Just so a heads up, you know, sort of. No, I'm lying. I have been to a place where there was naked people, as in like similar, not similar to this one, because there's torture going on right now. I have been to a place like that, and actually I wasn't the one to say that, but there were people who said to me, "Hey, there's naked people over there," and I was like, "Oh, those are naked. They are." I was weirdly enough, I was playing a gig. I was playing guitar for my band. I try, but sometimes autocorrect is like, sorry, dude, I have no idea. Yeah, walks into an orgy. There are naked people. No, that's a different thing. You're not gonna walk into an orgy without knowing that you're walking into an orgy. Otherwise, that's just bad. Don't do that. I mean, many reasons. Many reasons. For your own safety and the safety of other people. So, now that I killed the other zombie that was after me.
Don't worry. If you die, I will bring you back to life. We have much left to accomplish.
So she's the one who's been doing all these terrible experiments. Removing an arm from the young wood elf female made her fight all the harder for her life, despite being clearly outmatched. In previous battles, she fought much less bravely and to lesser effect. She lasted a full minute against my most angry of hounds before her throat was ripped out and I had to revive her. However, removing just the feet of the middle-aged Nord male made him despondent and without any will to defend himself even against a lesser foe. So pitiful was the look on the face of his corpse that I decided to leave him be rather than resurrect him. After so many years of scientific study, I still cannot abide apathy. I am sure that my aversion to pity has colored my findings, as I only make use of strong-willed test subjects. Thus, though I suppose, flawed as my research may be, and it is, I'll point it out in a little bit, it is still more revealing and faithful than any other has done before me. Faithful, I don't know why it's used like that. Now, this is flawed because she didn't remove the arm of the... She didn't remove the arm of the dude. She removed the feet. So for all she knows, maybe removing the feet of the girl would have yielded the same results as removing the feet of the man. Summary conclusions. After studying the various combats between the test subjects in this project, I have concluded that much as the pain threshold is inconsistent within a given species, so too is the effect of dismemberment. Whether beasts or men, well, I assume she's calling the woman a beast, the removal of a limb, be it functional as a hand or peripheral as a tail, has varying effects on the subject, having to do more with individual temperament than any other biological or cultural endowment. Whatever the particular effect, it is substantial, whether it enhances the subject's tendency towards aggressiveness or passivity, or swings them to the other extreme. Removing a limb has a profound effect on behavior. After reviewing my notes, I will attempt to catalog all the similarities and differences between the subjects and their responses. I may be able to offer Lord Chagorath a guidebook detailing how to craft a better kingdom by removing various appendages from the bodies of its people. That is, Did I say that people wanted to kill her?
You dare disturb me in my sanctum? You!
That was fortuitous. I like
remember
that.
you. You're the adventurer who slew my gatekeeper, are you not?
It wasn't just me. I had help.
Now you make excuses. Pathetic. On what authority have you weaseled?
Did you know that sociopaths have higher pain tolerance in general? That's interesting. By authority of your Lord Chagorath.
I see. Sheogorath is too important to come on his own account. He sends his mortal lackey.
That's not how statistics works, dear Horn.
My servants didn't give you too
It's just on
hard a time
average.
getting in here. But
It's like, I don't know.
Sheogorath's lackey requires.
Men are, on average, taller than women. My lord demands a new gatekeeper.
Oh,
It's like men being on average taller than women. So if a man is short, then he's not a man anymore. You know what I mean? Or a woman is tall, she's not a woman anymore. A woman? She's not a woman? Good going, Colonel. Lord Chagorath commands it.
Fine. If it be my lord's will, then it is.
I don't know why I
also
had
my
choices
own.
there. It's weird.
But I'm too distraught over the death of my child to return to his womb. This you must do. You will travel to the gardens of flesh and bone.
Jung doesn't feel
There
pain.
you will gather mystical components needed for the ceremony. Go fetch me blood liquor, osseous marrow, dermis membrane, and essence of breath. And take this key. It will allow you into the gardens and give you direct access to my sanctum.
Components?
You will travel to the gardens of flesh and
Hopefully
bone
that's an easy
and
thing to collect, because I
these
don't.
things.
Essence of breath.
Blood liqueur.
Statistics are
osseous
sometimes
marrow,
stupid, like 1.35
dermis
children per
membrane,
family.
And the
No,
essence
the
of
stupid
breath.
is the 1.35 children. How do I collect these things?
Are you not the
Because if
exalted
it's say per
Duchess,
family, that is just,
slayer of the great
I see what you mean.
Gatekeeper, champion of our mighty Lord Sheogorath?
Oh, right now, says Jung.
I'm sure you'll be able to find these things. If not, perhaps Sheogorath's faith in you is misplaced. Go now. You try my patience.
No.
Bring me blood liqueur, osseous marrow, dermis membrane, and the essence of breath.
Dermis membrane is just skin. Why'd you have to be... What is the essence of breath? It's just breath, isn't it? Blood liqueur is just blood.
Bring me blood.
Osseous marrow is marrow. Okay, it's just fancy names for simple things. What about the garden of flesh and bone?
For many years, I labored painstakingly in those gardens.
I don't know why
until
we're
my
asking
back
these things.
bent.
This DLC doesn't care about you having a nice conversation with people. You just click on
But
things
the
and they
fruits
talk to you a
born
little
of
bit.
that labor
They talk
were the
at you a little
essential
bit.
Components of true flesh. You
I like how
will
statistically, if you
open
own a
the
toaster, you're more likely to use
needed
condoms.
Bring my new child into this world.
Rumors?
The Bally
I own a
Lord will
toaster.
return to the water to heal.
Don't use condoms, though. Victims?
Oh, you mean my research
But I see where the
subjects.
connection is.
Don't trouble yourself with their fate.
Which is a good connection.
Volunteers
It's a
at
good thing
once
to
were.
learn about. Correlation is not causation.
Besides, they are
It's a very important thing in
furthering
science.
important research into the
Just because
nature
two
of
things are
pain and
correlated
suffering, of life
doesn't mean
and
they're
death.
caused one by the other, or vice versa.
Don't be concerned. I always return
also the
worthy
reverse?
ones to life.
Yes.
Besides, Lord
No,
Sheogorath
actually,
has
not
sanctioned
necessarily
my
the
studies
reverse.
and my methods. Any loyal servant of the Mad God would respect his decision in this
No.
matter.
No, necessarily the reverse, actually. If, it's necessarily the reverse. Because, like, if there are more people who use a toaster... No, of the people that have a toaster, more of them use condoms than the ones that... No, that's not how it goes. That's not what that means. So if you have a toaster, you're more likely to use condoms. That means that of the people that use condoms, there are more of them that have a toaster than the ones that don't have a toaster. That's what that means. So vice versa would mean that of the people that have toasters, there are more that use condoms than the ones that don't, which is not a correct conclusion, which means not the reverse. I am very good at maths. It's actually not maths, it's logic. Formal logic? I don't actually know the name of that. I think most people own toasters. That doesn't matter. It's not... all of them could use toasters. The conclusions are still valid. Or rather, the lack of those conclusions. You can't extrapolate the opposite. Or rather, not the opposite, the reverse. You can't extrapolate the reverse. Which isn't the reverse, it's the... What is the counterpart? That is the correct term for, I think. I think it is the correct term, I'm not sure. This is the vice versa. What do you call the vice versa? Because vice versa is not a thing, it's just what you say. It's a figure of speech. I prefer to toast in an oven with slices of cheese on the toast. Yeah, it just takes too long, honestly, on the oven. My oven takes forever to heat up. Set them free, stop torturing them.
I know your type. You believe yourself better than everyone else. You persecute genius when you find it because
You
we
believe
are
yourself?
able to see
How
around
dare
the
you
sharp
criticize my
corners of your
cruelty? You
simplified
think you're
mind.
better than me?
I see the vast horizons
that is the
of
weird-
thought,
that is the
while
weirdest
you
thing.
cannot see past the tip of your own nose. I can grant the guilty the cleansing fire of retribution, so they may die purified of soul. And I can grant the worthy everlasting life. And what can you offer the world except the hot air escaping through that hole in your head?
Which hole in my head? I do have multiple ones. Like the eyes, the nostrils, the ears, the mouth. Oh, the mouth. I'm a genius. I know which hole she means. If most people own toasters and most people use condoms, then a person can't afford a toaster probably. No, then a person that can't afford a toaster probably wouldn't use condoms. Yeah, but that's not a logical. That like you're not appealing to logic. You're just appealing to. Well, you're appealing to common sense there rather than to actual formal logic. If we accept that most people own a toaster, and we accept that most people use condoms, we cannot conclude that most people that use condoms also have a toaster. And here's the reason. Imagine there's 100% of people, which there are. If 51% of people have a toaster, and 51% of people use condoms, it could be that only 2% of people use condoms and have a toaster. And in that example that I'm using, most people use condoms and most people have a toaster. So that's an easy. That's not the correct way of disproving the assumption here, but it is a way to disprove the assumption. I have a toaster and I don't use condoms, says Harry Fistbump. Outlaws are a thing, Harry. No, outliers are a thing. Outlaws are probably not a thing anymore. Hopefully not. No hot air oven. No. I don't even know what that is. What do you mean hot air oven? I have no idea what that means. I command you to stop.
Out of deference to my Lord Sheogorath, I will allow this outburst. In fact, I will acquiesce to your request. But only if you can prove
Is
to me the
acquiesce
sincerity
a
of your
transitive
position
verb?
and the depth of your conviction.
Or not?
Are you willing to trade places with these souls?
It is.
To bear the full weight
No,
of
I'm
their
not sure.
pain and afflictions? Weigh this question carefully.
Sure, whatever.
Are you sure? You will not easily heal
There
the
is
damage
oven that
done to
use
you.
hot air.
This is a permanent sacrifice you are making. In fact, it is likely you will die. Perhaps you had better reconsider.
Don't worry.
Truly. Very well.
A ton of statistics aren't very
I wasn't
reliable.
quite finished with
Yeah, but
them.
we're not even going into that
As
territory.
long as you remain
It is
in
true
Sheogorath's
that
favor, I
know,
will not
statistics
conduct
are complicated. That's
experiments
why you need to have like
on
the
these.
original methods and stuff like that. Like for you to really trust a study, even if it isn't just statistics, even if it's just the results of a study, you need to look into the methodology specifically, and even if it is peer reviewed, which means other scientists looked at it and said, this is decent, this is good science. Even if that is the case, you still need to go into the papers and read about them and see and understand why or how things were done. There's a lot of things that just don't that are not good science and pass as good science and gets quoted more so in certain fields than others. I think history, which is a science, but it isn't. It uses the scientific method, specifically in regards to being peer-reviewed and requiring documentation and stuff like that, and methodologies and stuff like that. It's just not the same sort of science as biology, for example, or sociology, where there's replicability. Sociology maybe not as much, but still sociology has replicability in a lot of fields. But like physics and stuff like that there's replicability, where in history there isn't. But I did come across, even on my short, during the 4 years that I was studying history, and certainly since then I have come across many examples, many examples actually, of just bad science and people taking other historians' words for it and just being wrong, and just you take things for granted, and just you go and look and it's just all made up. A lot of stuff, a lot of popular myths regarding. I had an example that tipped my tongue. What was it? It's something that like people just. What was it? I don't know. What I mean is like. there's a lot of things that are easy to let by as a even as a historian, and you just read in a paper, and you just don't criticize it and don't think about it because it's popular. It's the popular perception, and like if you write a history text or a history study or whatever, and just put like stuff in there that is wrong, but it's still the popular perception, a lot of it will go by unnoticed, and so it's forno de convecção. That is, I have no idea. Convection oven. The convection oven sounds more familiar to me than forno de convecção. I have no idea what even convecção is. I know what convection. No, I actually I don't know what convection is. I have heard more times convection than convecção, which is the same word, by the way. I understand it's the same word. It's just that I have no idea what convection is. But it's just some fancy newfangled things that the Swedes have. It's just it's fine. It's fine. It's good. Often they are biased or not using a large enough or varied group. Yeah, usually the in regards to statistics, usually the problem is well, there's actually many problems. I will if you want to learn about statistics, or actually if you want to just learn about a little bit of science, there's one video on YouTube by his name is Derek Miller, but I think the channel is Veritasium. And the title is, if you look it up on YouTube, I think you can find it if you look it up as Are Most Scientific Studies Wrong? And he's a scientist, and he does a lot, like, he's not, like, trying to dismiss science and just be, they're all wrong, and it's all about those homeopathies and things like that. No, he's not trying to do that, something like that. He's trying to analyze something that is called, there's bias that are inherent to the way we do science as a society. And he's trying to analyze that, and it's really a really informative video, just from a mathematical perspective, because he's comparing how things work and how things get parsed. Just like one of the basic bias of science is the fact that scientists will tend not to do studies that they expect to be proven wrong. So, for example, if you're a scientist, you will tend not to do studies that you think are you tend not to test hypotheses that you think are wrong. So, for example, let's say you want, like, how many studies are made that prove that people who drink alcohol get drunk? Something as simple as that. Nobody's going to do that study because it's just a waste of time. And specifically, when I say time, specifically is a waste of money. And depends on the country, but in most countries, that parsing and that bias gets created even before the scientists have a say. That gets created right at the start of how much money gets assigned to each studies. So studies just don't get to test if people who drink wine get drunk, because first off, everybody thinks that is the case, and it is, but it's just a thing. Now, what happens with that is that there's going to be a lot more studies that focus on what we don't know yet, rather than what we know. Or rather, than what we think we know. And what happens with that is that there are lacks and there are mistakes that we think we don't have. There's things that we think we know as a scientific community that just don't get tested nearly as much as they should, which basically allows for certain assumptions to just get by unchecked. And that happens every once in a while. So every once in a while, there's studies that debunk long-held beliefs in the scientific community, and this happens in every field, not just more forward fields that get changed a lot. Like for example, psychology is a field that changes a lot because we don't really understand the brain all that well, and so like every 10 years, psychology just expands immensely. In physics, it's not quite as much. Physics is very slow, so we have a very good understanding of the physical world. And even though we think physics advances a whole lot faster, it doesn't really. We know physics very well. Physics is easy peasy. But this happens every once in a while in every field, which is just the fact that people find out that something that we thought was the case for many years, turns out it wasn't. And it's just usually somebody like in the toilet just thinking up something without any money and just, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Let me see if I can get money to test this, because nobody wants to pay money for this. You know what I mean? But yeah, if you look at Oh, that's a good example, Blood Angel, that vaccines cause autism, because that's just one paid for. That's literally one paid for study that the author himself said was rubbish, and just gets propagandized, really. Although that one is so blatant that he doesn't. That's not even like that. You don't even touch that when you're a scientist, because that's not even the field of science. That's not a scientific mistake. That's just people choosing to believe wrong things. But in science, there's other things that get by. It's basically what I'm talking about. A convection oven, also known as a fan-assisted oven or simply a fan oven, is an oven that has fans to circulate air around the food, which gives a very even heat. And using the convection mechanism to cook... Oh, the convection heating transfer, that's what it means. Yeah, right, of course. To cook food faster than a conventional oven. Convection ovens are also used for non-food industrial applications. I think mine has a fan in it. It makes a noise, so it must have a fan. So yeah, but it still takes a while. It's it's not like a microwave. Or it's like, it's not like a toaster with fire. By the way, my oven has both normal oven and convection and grill functions. And yes, it's Swedish, lol. What's wrong with being drunk? No, I mean, like, I didn't mean it like that, Harry. You know what I meant. I love hearing old science, like how food goes to your head when you eat it, and that's why you get headed after every meal. Oh, boy. Yeah, Socrates had, like... and there was a bunch of things, like the stomach is controlled by Saturn. And so as far as I can tell, they just came up with the ideas and just, it must be like that. Can you prove otherwise? No. And I'm right. That's how it works. I'm ready.
Very well. This might hurt a little.
Don't worry about it. It's all fine. Oi, you're ruining your house. Don't ruin your house. What the heck? Did you just buggered off? She really just left. Well, I'm very sorry. I can't save them. My torch. Well, I suppose... You alright? No? How about now? Okay, she's gonna be alright forever. Oh, there's so many people! Oh, they don't talk. All of them are naked. What is this one? Wait, what? They were invisible. She's here.
You are here to help rebuild the Gatekeeper. That is very good of you, considering what you did to him. So many strange
What do you
noises
mean, considering what I did to him? I barely hit him.
Screaming, animals dying. But I've learned so much. So much.
I doubt it. I really doubt it. I really doubt that you learned
See you.
anything. I really, really doubt it. Oh, I'm so very sorry. Nice glutes. I say, one must say glutes when complimenting other people's posteriors, otherwise it just sounds crass. A skull, not an egg. Ooh. Right. Unproductive musings. Today I intended to continue my research into the effect of pain on the host of the unborn, in this case the middle-aged pregnant Breton female, and yet, no matter how many times she was ripped apart and resurrected, I simply could not bring myself to the requisite attentiveness serious study demands. Rather than the usual precision of observation, my faculty seemed possessed of a peculiar poetic sensibility, so that, rather than dutifully logging each scream and twitch of agony, I seemed transported by her cries to some other place. I became sheltered within a tapestry of tranquility, woven from the screams of the Breton's anguish, warped against the grunts and clacking of the beasts and shambles that toyed with her. It was there, in that spot, my soul naked and clean, that I came to a sense of clarity. And like all, dare I say, religious experiences, Returning to my mundane senses, I am left with little more than a faded memory of supernatural knowledge, like a burned parchment on which once were written words of wisdom and understanding, of which, again, in the same sentence, now only torn and blurred fragments remain. The harder I try to remember that innate knowledge, the more it seems to recede from me. The essence that remains is this: pain is a force that purifies, ennobles, and uplifts. It is the fire that burns away impurities, that melts away imperfections. Death is the sign of weakness, nor bodily constitution the signs of... No, death is not the sign of weakness, nor bodily constitution the sign of strength. It is what happens to soul when brought into the fire that determines the mettle of men. Again, not women. Those with inner strength are forged into weapons of devastating keenness by pain's fire. Those who are undeserving and weak turn to dark and lifeless ash in its heat. With capital I there. And there it stands in all its inscrutability. So much for an unproductive day. Perhaps tomorrow will lead to more fruitful experiments. I doubt it. Ooh. Treasure. Grand Amulet of Reflection. No. I mean, it's really good, but I don't want it. Do you have pearls? No, flawless pearls. Sorry, I'm very picky. It's not me who's picky, actually. It's somebody else. It's a pain in the butt. But, Seal and Fiend. What do we have? Fin. The Shivering Bestiary. Well, this is not as interesting. It's also enormous. There it is, if you want to read it. It is there for your perusal. I think there's a lot of new books that didn't exist in the original game. Purple Finery. Terrible place, though. I mean, admittedly. A bouquet of flowers. I shall not take that. Even though I probably should.
It's so hard to concentrate with all that noise.
It stopped already. She's dressed the same way as the other one, so that's why I mistook her. Can you disprove that Harry is just an AI? We don't have a test for even AI. What do you mean AI? Well, I guess we have a test for AI. It's just sort of like have to look. But we don't have a test for consciousness, though. Because we don't have a definition for consciousness either. Smell where that you're drinking. Metal of Humanity doesn't include the other races, so what would you pick instead? People. Actually, yeah, people is just the best one. In English, specifically. But you could use man with capital M. Like, it's perfect. It actually has the precedent of that's how it works. That's how you use that. Just capital M men. And that's how it's been used for centuries. It fits 100% with a setting like this. It's not like the Fifth Element thingy, where it also fits. It just sort of implies a it just sort of implies a specific, like, historical, like the Fifth Element thing. It implies a specific historical precedent in the setting. The capital M men just implies just basically patriarchy in the setting, which exists. So it's not like it fits completely. It's just 100%. They just need to capitalize it. That's all they need. Capitalize it. It's like nature. Nature? No, actually, it doesn't work like that in English. Does it work like that in English? Capital N nature? Is it different? Can you specifically say that? Is that how it works? Because I know that is how it used to work in Portuguese, where capital N nature has a meaning and lowercase nature has another meaning. Because, you know, it also has meaning in English. You know, Mother Nature sort of situation nature. Because, like, nature is so pretty. But capital N nature. And then lowercase would be, you know, the nature of this animal is to eat food. Sapient is the term. Sapient is the term instead of consciousness? Folk, maybe? Nah, people. Just people. People. Also, folk. Yeah, I think it would work in this setting, but it doesn't work in every setting. Folk, for example, in Pillars of Eternity is specifically the humans. And they don't use the word human because it's so... I imagine it's because it's so connected to us and we just think of it like that. Just say humans, you specifically think of the races. So that way you just... and you sort of also eliminate the fact that it's all really weird if they're not all humans. Because imagine an elf and a human being different races. And you're like, how did that work evolutionarily speaking? And it didn't. That's not how... We don't have evolution in these settings. It needs to be all mythology, and you can't think of that stuff. It just needs to be all made up. I've never heard of the term meaning on capital. No, wait. I never heard of different meaning on capital. No. What I mean is this. If you say nature, as in when you're referring to nature, do you see what I mean? The way I phrase it. When I say you're referring to nature, that nature that I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about like nature, like trees and the way we everything is nature. But let's put that to the side. You know, trees and animals and birds and whatnot, because birds are not animals. That nature has a meaning. It's a specific meaning for the word nature. But if I say the nature of this animal, for example, is to kill that other animal, that meaning of the word that meaning of the word nature is a different meaning. That's not the same word. Like, it's a different meaning, right? So to differentiate between those two words, in Portuguese it's not nature, it's natureza, but it doesn't matter. To differentiate, we used to capitalize N. So whenever you referred to, oh, nature is so pretty, you always capitalized it. You specifically had to capitalize that, otherwise it'd be a mistake. You need to capitalize it, otherwise it's not the same thing. You need to make capital. It's like there's other things like that. Like, for example, black people. If you capitalize B, you're referring to black people as in the racial black people. But if you say lowercase b, which you probably shouldn't, but I suppose if you do, then you're referring to people who are black. You know what I mean? That because that's the color and not the race. So that I know that works in English, but I don't know if nature works as well. And I know there's loads of other languages where capitalization changes the meaning. I know that I don't know German, but I know that German has specific rules for capitalization. Although I think they dropped them recently or something, where every noun needs to be capitalized, which means that if you make something not capitalized, it becomes I assume it becomes not a noun, which might change the meaning as well. And also probably makes it a mistake if you're using it the wrong way. I'm kidding, Blood Angel. I know birds aren't animals. They just smell funny. I mean, people lit is literally folk in Swedish. Yeah. I know. I'm just musing about the thing. Jung. Sapient is any creature capable of complex thinking. Human, dwarves, elves, not plants or animals. How do you know not plants or animals? That's basically the same. That's consciousness, right? Or is it consciousness? Like, how do you test for that? What I mean is, any test that you make to determine if something is sapient or not, Blood Angel, is going to be any test that you make, and even for sentience, it works for sentience as well. Any test that you make is going to be either not correct because things that are not sentient pass that test, or it's going to be restrictive to the point where it's just mostly a reflection of our own culture and our own societies. Like, for example, imagine, I don't know, it's more used in oh yeah, absolutely. This is all thought experiments, really, unless you start thinking about how to determine if an AI is sentient. Like, is Siri on your iPhone, is it sentient? How do you test? How do you know? And then you start getting into all those fun thought experiments like the Chinese room or the, which is the other one that everybody talks about. I don't remember. Why am I losing health? Am I losing health? I better not be losing health, otherwise I'm gonna start punching people. I don't think I'm losing health. I think I lost health. Because in reality, humans are the only sapient. How do we know that? How do we not know that an AI is sapient? How do you not know that the animals are not sapient? We don't know that. That's all about our culture. That's just what we, as a society, have agreed on to say that the word sapient means specifically us human. But from a scientific perspective, that has no meaning. Like, it doesn't matter what we say that it's us human. It doesn't make it true. You know what I mean? Like, if we say Like, we don't even need to be as sort of like literal as sapient means. It just has a soul, for example. The soul, it's connected. It's because it's a usual. It's a very common religious figure that doesn't happen in all religions, but still something that I think we all can understand. If we say that humans have souls as a society, that doesn't mean that humans have souls as a physical tangent thing that we can prove in physical terms. But it also doesn't mean that other animals don't. It's just that as a society, we agree that that's the case, or we don't. It doesn't matter if we do or not. It doesn't mean. What I mean is that there's a distinction between what we say something has from our language than what actually is the case. And like, for example, life and death. What we determine, life and death is it's a really good thought experiment. What is alive and what is dead is mostly socially constructed. It's not an actual physical. It's certainly not derived from physical, from our knowledge of physics. Well, it is derived from our knowledge, obviously. We just that thing is dead and that thing is alive. It's derived from our knowledge, but it's not derived from our modern day science. It's derived from our social constructs of something being alive and something being dead, and that happens a lot more. Like, for example, in a virus. Imagine a virus. Do you think a virus is alive, more or less alive than a bacteria, for example, or a microbe? What is it more or less alive? And the question, like, it doesn't matter if you know the answer. If you know the answer, it's cool. The answer is that a virus is not alive, scientifically speaking. But the interesting aspect of us thinking like this is that when you start thinking about that, it doesn't really matter because you can't see them. They don't move. They don't move. They work the same way, viruses and bacteria. They work the same way. They affect you the same way in the sense that you get sick, or it transmits from touching or whatnot, or from breathing. So for us, when we talk, which is all that matters when we talk about language, for us when we talk, it doesn't matter if it's alive or not. But it's still, but the answer, the question being raised means, or shows, I think, that what is alive and what is dead is not. It's just all made up in our heads as a society. We just agree to say that it is alive or it is dead, and that's when the real fun starts. Because if like a cat dies, is it dead? What is identity? Because I think that's what really that's where the ramble really starts. If I go into that one, because if it is dead or not depends on the identity of the cat. Because if you say, well, there's a bunch of alive things on the body that the cat had, but the cat itself is dead, because the identity of the cat matters. But if we as a society didn't care about the identity of things, and permanence, which we could be sentient and not think about permanence and identities. We could. It'd be weird, but, we're just doing thought experiments. If we as a society didn't care about permanence and identity, then we wouldn't say that the cat was dead when the cat dies. Because it's still chemically active and alive. There's a lot of life things in there. You know what I mean? I think it's super fun to think about that stuff. And it's the trick is not really to want to come to dramatic conclusions. The conclusions you're going to reach are sort of derived from that. You're going to come to conclusions like weird conclusions, like realizing that what you thought was real might not be, like consciousness not being real. Technically speaking, we don't have AI. What we have is VI? What is VI? And the AI needs to be self-aware and have intuition. No, that's not what AI needs. That's just I. If it's self-aware, why is it not just intelligence? Why would you say, no. Like, because if you're saying that, Harry, if you're saying that AI, first off, if people say it's AI, that's AI. It's just the term. It could be PC or petit or whatever. It doesn't matter the name. If it's what people call it, it's what it is. If we're talking technically, if you're saying that an AI to be AI, or to, I think what you could say is like true AI. You just say true AI, and we know what we're talking about, right? Virtual intelligence. Ooh, that's a cool term though. But the distinction probably doesn't even work in some languages. The distinction between virtual and artificial, because if the language doesn't have two words for that. But the point is, if you're saying that an AI to be an AI needs to be self-aware and have intuition, then you're saying that in the thought experiment where your brain gets downloaded into a computer and you live inside the computer, then you would be an artificial intelligence. Which I suppose is fine if you call it that. But that doesn't really sound... That doesn't sound productive, though. My problem with saying that an AI to be AI needs to have self-awareness, which is a problem because you can't test self-awareness. Self-awareness does not exist. I challenge you to prove me wrong. I say self-awareness does not exist. And intuition, which again you can test for intuition. Actually, you can. And AI passes and has intuition. But what you're referring to cannot be tested. Intuition, AI has intuition. That's testable and it passes. It's not a very difficult pass. Actually, machines have intuition and pass the tests. But you're not referring to the intuition that I'm saying, that I'm talking about. Anyway, the point is, the distinction, if it is made like that, it becomes irrelevant. To say that an AI only exists if it's self-aware, because we can't even prove that we are self-aware. You know what I mean? Like humans cannot. You can test a human to see that they're self-aware. That is not a test that exists. You can't. That's not a thing. You can ask them, like you can test them. You can just say, "Hey, are you self-aware?" And they're gonna be like, "Yes, yes, I am." But if you ask an AI that has been evolved to, because we're talking about deep learning AI, which is a type of AI. It's not actually all AI, but anyway, if you ask an AI or a machine or a textbook, if you ask a textbook, are you self-aware? You flip to the page where the question is, are you self-aware? And it says, yes, I am. The test doesn't work. The test doesn't work, Harry. It's a problem. It's a real problem. That's why I like the game. That's why I like the game Soma. Soma is such a fun game because it deals with these issues. And that issue that I talked about, identity, that the game Soma was the first game that was the first place that I saw identity being raised in this context. And honestly, it's because I don't read very much. Which I should read, especially because I like to ramble about this sort of stuff. And you should be warned that all I'm saying is just mostly bollocks. There's a lot of people that are a lot smarter than I am that talk about this sort of stuff for a job, and they know a lot more. And there's so many books and so many good things to learn. But the YouTuber is not a good place to learn. I can send you in the right direction, but that's a different story altogether. Anyway, the point is, identity is a fun thing to think about in this stuff. Well, if you define breathing as alive, then fire is, and trees are not. See, it's an interesting blood angel. It's a very interesting thing because fire needs to breathe. That's good. That's good. Fire does breathe. Like it needs oxygen, right? Depends on how you define everything. Yes, it does. That's thinking about things like that. I think it's the most exciting sort of stuff about science because it just makes you really, really question everything, and I think it's good. Replace Sarah Connor with an RPG. I've never watched Sarah Connor. I don't know. I know there's some stuff about time traveling, but that's about it. Wasn't Sarah Connor in Bakersfield, California? I think we've come full circle in the conversation. Self-awareness is the age-old question. It is. And it's like, do we have free will? I think I do, but how do I know? Exactly. Like my personal answer to the free will question is precisely that. As long as I think I do, it doesn't matter if I do or not. I cannot be affected by the fact that I have or not that I have free will or cannot or don't have free will. That it doesn't matter. Now there are contexts and there are people, I should say, that to whom it matters if you have free will. Because if you're a religious person, or even if you're a religious person, specifically if you have a religion where free will is an actual question, like if it matters to you that free will, like to your religion specifically, that free will is a thing, then you need to answer like you're on your own. You need to figure that out. I actually studied because I majored in archaeology. I studied some things regarding Christianity. And the history of Christianity, and specifically related to art, because it's important. Art is a very interesting medium that talks about all this sort of stuff and is related, tangentially related, but also related to this stuff. But the question of free will is pretty important in Christianity. So if you're a Christian and you're of that persuasion of actually caring about that sort of canon, then you need to figure that out. The free will. For me, it's fine. I cannot be affected by the fact that I have free will or not, because for me, I think free will is the illusion of free will. So free will doesn't need, like, So free will is... Do you see what I mean? When I say free will is an illusion, because free will is the illusion of free will, for me. So, I don't know if free will is real, but even if it were real, the realness of free will is not the free will, it's the illusion of it that is free will. Because even if I had free will, if I didn't have the illusion of free will, I wouldn't have free will. Does that make sense? That's what goes on in my head anyway. I think I lost you halfway through. Don't worry, I'm Colonel RPG. As a side business in art and old things, I can say that it's a ton of bullshit and money laundering in the art. Oh yeah, but you know, that's just that's just money, really. That's the thing. Like, it infects everything, really. It's not just... I guess we're out of here. What a pretty lovely place. I can put my torch out. I mean, it puts itself out a lot. Okay, let's not deal with that person over there. Let's go back to the Gates of Madness as we make our way to... Where was it? The Bones and Shambles. It was a thing. I don't think I'm in combat anymore. It's important not to be in combat. To the Fringe! That's right, of course. I keep forgetting. It's all broken now. Which also means I cannot... No, I can. You just can't fast travel between places. You need to go through the gates. It didn't used to be like this. I wonder why. I think it means that this map is not the same map as the one we had before. I think that there's another map that is the same. And the reason why we can't fast travel is because it's not the same map. And if you go to the pass wall... Do you know what I mean? It's hard to convey what goes on in my head a lot of the time. I'm very sorry. I mean, a little bit sorry. Not very, very sorry, but a little bit. She feeling better? I think she's feeling better. Felt like 1 hour long ramble. It probably was, actually. Especially because I was rambling as the game was playing.
Mad God's blessings, Your Grace.
I ramble about all the things. I'm sorry. Also not sorry. I mean, I am sorry. Just not very sorry. Because I have fun with it. And honestly, I can't say I'm sorry. You know what I mean? It's like... it's like one of those things. There's nobody here. Gardens of Flesh and Bone. We haven't been here before. Even in the previous area, I don't think. But even if we had, I would assume that gate would have been locked. Oh! Ah! What in the freaking hell? Who designed this? I could have died. Man, not pulling punches, are we? Not pulling punches, video game. I don't know if that guy was aggressive or not. You can ramble all you want in Fallout New Vegas. Oh, I did. I rambled about... I had my most memorable ramble for me. Memorable for me in Fallout New Vegas. And because the stream is online, you can find it. It's in the Lonely Road DLC, I think. Probably like third or second stream that I did of that DLC. Ramble about plastic skeletons. I rambled about for like 40 minutes about it. You know, I think it was all because Jung asked for it, and I went on a diatribe about it. I remember a part in this DLC where you light on fire with a golem fire, and it's annoying. It covers the screen. I've played that bit already. It didn't cover the screen. It covers the screen if you look it from the outside, but it might be a patch that changes it. But I think I did that already. I'm gonna give this dungeon a 1 star on Yelp. Would not visit again. Almost died. How do you know it's plastic skeletons? That was the reason for the ramble. But the question wasn't the how do I know it's plastic skeletons. The reason the question was a multifaceted approach to why plastic skeletons are bad. Not even plastic skeletons. What I mean is why posed skeletons are bad. And I went on the history of my relationship with the plastic skeletons, which is actually the real history of plastic skeletons in video game, because I'm pretty sure Bethesda, while not being the inventor of plastic skeletons by any means, it is a company that propagated plastic skeletons a lot, specifically starting in Fallout 3, and I probably rambled about how Bethesda doesn't understand Fallout, and why the fact that they think Fallout is about plastic skeletons is doubly insulting. For all the reasons that I explained at the time, that plastic skeletons are bad. And I remember going on at least 9 different reasons. Like, they were well thought. I was saying that I was really proud of me coming up with all those reasons, because they were like, there's a multitude of reasons why plastic skeletons are bad. And then the other reason, or the other side of the coin, is that it's Bethesda not understanding what Fallout is. It's literally the antithesis. The antithesis. You can use those fancy words. Antithesis isn't a very fancy word, but it's a difficult word to pronounce in my mouth. So you can use that word, and it's the antithesis of Fallout. And if you want to be hyperbolic, you can be hyperbolic. I will give you the permission to be hyperbolic. Hyperbole is not a thing that I like doing a whole lot, and I don't like it when other people do it. But it works. It works for that. If you want to just go like, this shows it's the worst crime against Bethesda. Epic Marcus, welcome to the stream. How's it going? Do you dress up a plastic skeleton on a Halloween? Dressed up plastic skeletons are bad. Whoa, that's true. They are. The hyperbole of epitome. I like that. I like that, Blood Angel. I don't know where we're going. Not an interesting dungeon, unfortunately. The fact that my torches are all used up, I think I'm at a point where I'm getting the torches that I used up in the past. Man, I can't wait to see the announcement of the next Elder Scrolls game. Well, not the announcement, because they have announced it already. I want to see the combat. Because it needs to be Dark Souls-like. I don't believe that Bethesda will ever step away from first-person combat. But they need to go for something like For Honor. Have you ever played For Honor? It's rubbish. But it does have first-person Dark Souls-like combat. I say Dark Souls-like, I mean in the terms of permanency of animations and strategy focusing, and there's a bunch of blocking and a bunch of other things. The Elder Scrolls combat, either Bethesda makes it third person all the time, which definitely should, for certain types of combat. Actually, you know what? If you go melee, always third person. If you go bow, always first person. Just do it like that. Why don't they do it like that? Actually, I'm just thinking about it. The problem with Bethesda's combat is that it needs to work on both camera types. Well, it's not the problem. That's not the problem with Bethesda's combat. The problem with Bethesda's combat is that it's all about spamming the button. That's the problem. But another problem is that it needs to work on both camera types, whatever combat it is. So if it is shooting an arrow, if it is magic, if it is a sword, an axe, a spear, whatever it is, it needs to work on both cameras. And that's a bad thing. Because the moment you start having complicated combat systems, it stops working. Because think of ranged combat or bow casting or spell casting, even spell casting, but specifically shooting a bow in Dark Souls, and it's bad. Dark Souls needs a first-person camera. But think of trying to have a Dark Souls-like combat in the first person. It doesn't work. So they should go melee, always third person. Spell casting and bows, always first person. That's what they should do. Bethesda should hire me, and then I would fire myself immediately. That wouldn't work for them. I wouldn't. In Kernel-owned game, the boss will be a plastic skeleton. Is there such a game? Is there a game with a skeleton as a boss? I don't think there is. Well. Well. We have shambles. And they blow up. With ice. And fire. And blade. I shall murder you. They have like wings. They have hip bones, what they have in their torsos. It's really weird. I commend Bethesda for the imaginative design. That doesn't go anywhere. Where does this one go, though? Well, actually, this does go somewhere, and it is where we're supposed to go. Because... of course it is. I heard you. Locked. Wow. Such treasure. Very money. Come on, game. Gimme something interesting. Like, I'm playing this, and I'm always thinking, what bits of this am I gonna include in the edited footage? There's a lot of stuff that I'm not including. This DLC is not as good as the rest of the game. And the rest of the game has some boring dungeons. I mean, it's not as good as in specifically the exploration. Including also level design. Didn't we have like a really frustrating level the other day? Uh-huh. What is that down there? I want to go down there. I don't know what we're doing here. Did you read the watermelon thing I said? No. What was it? I forgot. I didn't even write it down. No. Just have some games over there that I still have not checked. Tell him to use a syringe. What are we talking about? That sounds... This sounds awful. I don't know what we're doing. Syringes and watermelons. That's not a good combination. Let's see what happens when you do this. That was anticlimactic. I didn't feel like casting a spell. Seriously, there's just too many of these things. It makes too much noise in my head. I'm old. Can't stand all this. And besides, this leads to... I figured it would lead to a place I've been to already. Ebony boots. Bad boots. My friend had a thing he told me. What if a watermelon, or watermelons on blues on the inside, but you don't know because they turn red once they open? I could ramble about that. There is an answer for me about that. Which is related to, have you ever heard that thing about if a tree falls in the forest, but nobody is there to listen, does it really make a sound? And it has the same... It's the sort of the same question as I could ramble about, I think, for hours. Not anything. I will ramble about things, just not necessarily about the thing that you talked about. But that sort of question about the tree that falls in the forest is sort of the same question that you're asking right there about the watermelon. If it's blue on the inside, except when you open it, it's red. The thing is, when it's closed, you can't see it. Right? I mean, we can. There's ways to do that. You can put a camera in there. That's as simple as that. But there's ways to do it. But, and also there's the Occam's razor, which wouldn't sustain that sort of hypotheses, and there's a bunch of other things. It's a silly thought experiment, and it's supposed to be like that, and it's fun. The thing is, if you can't see it, it doesn't have a color. Because the color isn't actually a physical thing, just like the sound isn't actually a physical thing. The color is what we see, but what it actually is the reflection of light over into our eyes, and the electrical signal that goes from our retinas to the back of our brain, and then from the back of our brain to our frontal cortex, and that's where we see the color. It's over here. But it goes through all these processes. So the actual physical thing is a mixture of all the things. So if that doesn't exist, it doesn't have a color. However, there's another aspect to that, which is also pretty important. Or it's not another aspect. There's another question that you can ask about that color that I think is very important, but also it sort of unlocks. At least for me, it unlocked this way of looking at color, which is the same as the way of looking at sound. Hey, Figan, welcome to the stream. You caught me. Thank you for the host as well. You caught me rambling about things. Although, if you joined me today, you probably caught me rambling about things as well, all the time. There's another way of looking at it. If you think of, what is the color of Earth? What is the color of Earth? That question, by itself, touches on so many issues related to color specifically, and to how we perceive color. As people, as humans, actually, specifically as humans, that it just sort of unlocks all the way all these things. Because the color of Earth, it depends. What do you mean, the color of Earth? Like the Earth when you look at the floor, or the average color of the planet when you're very far away in the stars? Is it blue? But blue is the ocean. But it's not even blue as the ocean, because that's the sky. You know what I mean? This just starts to get so many questions. But of course we can come to reasonable answers to that question, as long as we're willing to make compromises about how specific and how correct, quote unquote, that answer is. But the thing is, in the middle of all those issues of where you're defining, what is it? Is it the green of the grass, or is it the dirt of the floor? Is it like what you see from afar, or is it when you're very near? In the middle of all those issues, there's another very important thing is, that you're not thinking about the light that radiates from Earth. When you say, what is the color of Earth, even as a planet, you're not thinking about what type of light, or what is the majority of the light that radiates from Earth, because that's what we receive as information, that color goes into our eyes. You're thinking specifically about the light that we can see. And the light spectrum is enormous. It's infinite, in fact, because it starts and doesn't end. At least, I think it doesn't end. There's probably a limit, because there's a lot of physical limits in some things. But it's enormous, right? And there's a very, very tiny sliver that we can see. It's so very tiny. And then you have all the infrareds. And then you have all the ultraviolets. And the super big, get to a point where it's just radiation. What we call radiation, but, gamma rays and X-rays and stuff like that. That's also light. So the Earth emits all that sort of stuff. And we're just ignoring all that stuff, and we're just saying what we see. Because that's what matters. That's the real truth of it. That's the real truth of it. What matters is... Are you saying I'm stoned, says Blood Angel? What matters is what we see. And if we can't see the inside of a watermelon, then it doesn't have a color. That is my answer to that question, and that's my ramble. Thank you very much. No, are you? Because I'm going to roll out for half an hour, says Harry. I will be leaving in a little bit as well, Harry. Thank you for joining me. After his rambles 50 years later, where was I? Oh, yes, Oblivion. Why is there no one in chat? Where's everyone? You know what? Hopefully I will be here in 50 years rambling about things. A lot better than I'm rambling right now. But I think I know myself. I will not be rambling better. I'm afraid I'm not getting better than what I am right now. I think I have limitations. It's very difficult to learn when I ramble so much. I will get on my specific ruts of thought, and learning. I mean, I will learn about some things, but it's kind of complicated. Nah, Harry, you're gonna stay with us. No, pal, it's fine. It's good. It's all good. If you're wondering, his rambles keep him from dying. It's okay. And in today's society, you need to ask Earth what colors it wants to be identified as. That's not what it means, Epic Marcus. Because the color is in our eyes. Identity, nobody knows. Who are you, Epic Marcus? Who knows? Only you know. Colonel will haunt me in his death with ramble, says Jung.
Maybe I will.
Oh no. Okay, I'm not fighting you. I'm not fighting you. I'm fighting somebody else. That guy has a glass claymore. Not too shabby. Still not doing it. Still not getting it. Let's get ready to fight. I have clicked on the number 7 on my keyboard. In 50 years, I'll be almost 82. Oh, you're too young, Harry. In 50 years, I will be 82, actually. I just said that I'm young. Thanks, Colonel. Oh, dang it. What even happened there? Is a sliced loaf of bread technically a bread sandwich? It's a dry sandwich. But you can't, like... If a sandwich needs to have a filling for it to be a sandwich, and if it can have multiple layers, I think it would be a bread salad sandwich. But it's one of those things that you can come up with definition for sandwich where it wouldn't be a bread sandwich. Well, it's like, for example, is 1 a prime number? No, is it 1? No. The 1 is a prime number. That's not the one. Is 0 an even or an odd number? That's a real question. That's the one that I was thinking of, actually, not the odd being a... Is cereal a soup? Cereal is a soup. Why is it not? Why wouldn't it be? My grandpa just hit 84 last month. Nice. I think my grandma is also 84. I think my grandma is about 84. She's my only surviving grandparent. Is a Pop-Tart a calzone? I don't even know what that is. Seriously, I don't know what a calzone is. That sounds like lingerie to me. That's lingerie, isn't it? Pop-Tart is lingerie? I bet you can find pictures of that. Ah, so that's what this is. I have retrieved skin. Look at that. This is a boring mission. This is a really boring mission. It doesn't have anything interesting. And we're just collecting items that are marked on a quest marker. But I'm rambling about things, so it's not boring. Hopefully not boring for you either. Hiccups. Cereal is dry, so no. How dare you, Jung? What do you mean cereal is dry? You don't put milk on your cereal? You have to put milk on your cereal. Pop-Tart sexy wear, what the fuck? I didn't say sexy wear, I just said underwear. Did I say sexy wear? I'm sorry. All underwear is sexy wear, let's be honest, but that's a different thing altogether. Like, you can, if you say, it's a different thing. Oh no, this is bad news. Calzone, calzona, calzone, noun, a type of pizza that is folded in half before cooking to contain a filling. That's not pizza. Pizza needs to be open. Is it pizza? That's pizza. That doesn't sound like pizza. I put milk on my cereal, but it doesn't become cereal when adding milk. Well, but if you're... Yeah, but it's not the dish. If you're saying that cereal... That's true, you know, but the problem is cereal is also, like, wheat in a field is also cereal. Or a corn cob is cereal. And we're not talking about the same thing. Those are... That's not... When you say, is cereal a soup, you're not... Are you trying to be like a... Is it like a tricky question? Because it could be a tricky question. It's not a tricky question. What is it called? Trick question. That's the word. I saw a very expensive thing over here, and I don't know where it is. There it is. Ring of Vitality. Resist paralysis 100%. That is a proper ring. That is a badass ring. I like that. Calzone is like an Italian taco. Sounds about right, honestly. When I add milk to the cereal, is that milk now a beverage, a broth, or a sauce? Well, it's a beverage if you separate it from the cereal, which I don't recommend you do. The proper way of eating cereal is you put the cereal in a bowl, you pour the milk over the cereal, and then you eat. Yum, 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 yum. How, as you see fit. In all likelihood, you'll eat the cereal before you'll finish the milk. So what you do after that is you pour more cereal over the milk that's left, and you inevitably will pour more cereal than the milk allows for. So you pour more milk after that, and you continue eating, and you repeat, and you repeat, and you repeat, and you repeat until the box of cereal is empty, and then inevitably you will have milk in the bowl. You drink the milk, and you're good to go. And you don't need to eat for the rest of the day or the week. I think there's something up here. So that's how you eat cereal. I don't eat cereal much anymore. We have marrow. I have retrieved marrow. Cereal with yogurt is what I prefer. That is a nice one. I have had stuff like that. And that is the only time it is allowed to have cereal after the milk. When you pour too much, when you pour... Yeah, when you already... Yes. I forgot to mention that. That is true, Epic Marcus. I bet Colonel RPG eats cereal with water. I don't. Why would I do such heinous things as that? Why would you do that? Why? No, I'm good. Oh, that's the essence of breath. He didn't put my torch out, though. It was just coincidence. Thanks. Oh, look at that. It's leading us in the right direction. Excuse me, Mr. Hunger. I really don't have time to deal with you. The essence of breath, of course, meaning it is breath. It is just breath. This is awful. This is just really gross. Oh, it's over here. No. It is underneath. Is it? This hunger is getting very frustrated about not being able to hit me because it is not going well. How do I get down there, though? I think it's through here. I only eat Honey Nut Cheerios. That's pretty good, actually. I had vanilla yogurt with... Oh, it's through here. I have vanilla yogurt with walnut kernels, or whatever that is pronounced, a few days ago. So good. Sounds good, honestly. I'm a fan of everything Kellogg's. I can eat anything, really. Just give me anything that's sweet. Just literally anything. Just it'll go. It'll go down. I hate how people call oatmeal cereal. It's not cereal. It isn't cooled. Cereal isn't cooled? What do you mean? Is oatmeal cold? I don't know. I have never had oatmeal. No, I lie. I have had oatmeal. With water, incidentally. And honey. And it's fine. This is the worst quest. Like, what am I even doing? Oh, that is breath. Can I not take it? Wait until the essence breath is in... Oh, the bottle. In the bottle. Yes, I'm trying to. I do have friends over here that are a little bit impatient. I have captured the essence of breath. How good of me. I wonder what this... I'm not killing them, because we don't need to. Convalesce shield. Grand soul gem. Oh, it's still greater. I just keep finding grand soul gems with greater souls in them. Okay, next up. Cereal isn't cooked. Oatmeal is cooked? Anyone had Muesli? Yeah, Muesli is pretty famous here in Europe. The Spanish eat it a lot, and I've had it. It's pretty good. Oatmeal isn't cereal. I think that might be... Well, but the thing is, there's a lot of other, like... There's a lot of other cereals that aren't cereal either. I have everybody and their cousin after me, and I'm 100% lost. So yeah, I take it back. This level design is atrocious. What do we have over here? That's what I tell you. Atrocious. Can you imagine? Fallout 3 has the same problem, by the way. Can you imagine the work required to get to this room, and then you find out that it has 53 gold, and locks the door behind you, and 3 arrows, 3 silver arrows. My father eats that every day, says Epic Marcus. Ow. Muesli is dry fruit is good. Regular not so much. None of them. I like muesli with chocolate. It's very tough on the teeth though. It gets into every bit of teeth. It's terrible. I hate it. If you do the Sheogorath Shrine after this DLC, you get a funny dialogue. Oh, I did the Sheogorath Shrine already. That was a thing. Oh my god. I think we might be... No. We're gonna need Fingers of the Mountain, aren't we? Of course I can find it. Don't even know if it's a spell. Fingers on a mountain, it's not right there. To eat your colleagues with beer. The butler dude comments on you praying to yourself. Oh, that's really cool. This quest is weird. Or this spell is weird. I don't know if it works. I don't know if it works, basically. I don't know what happened here. Woohoo! This place is dangerous. Oh, crap. Almost died. No kidding. I guess you are the Lord of Madness since you're praying to yourself. Yeah, I figured it was that. I had heard that you become Sheogorath. I think he even said it. But I had heard that you become Sheogorath at the end of the DLC. Everyday breakfast: 2 eggs. Oh my god. Bacon. Oh my god. French fries. Holy crap. Seriously, Harry? Dude, you're gonna run out of life. What? That's bad for an everyday meal, let alone an everyday breakfast. 2 types of cheese. Oh, that's good. Although it is not. Cheese has a lot of salt. You should be careful. 2 types of smoked meat. Also dangerous. That is bad. It's bad for the heart. My god, dude. Seriously, look after yourself. That's... Are you kidding me? 2 tomatoes. Whole tomatoes? Nice. It doesn't offset it. And sometimes olives. It's good. Good stuff. And of course, a glass of dry sparkling wine. Fair enough. All this talk about food made me hungry. Time to cook up some nice juicy burger. Sounds lovely. America, says Blood Angel. I don't think Harry's from America, but maybe he is. I don't remember. I think not. I think Harry said he was from somewhere. East Europe. I think. Am I wrong? Am I misforgetting? Definitely. Blaze of Swords. Reflect damage. 45 blade. 25 points on self. That is amazing. That's proper stuff right there. If I want to go around... swing him the sword. That fireball staff sucks. Can Can I has cheeseburger? It has been a while. Romania, says Jung. I think so, yes. Looks like... he looks after his palate. I think we have the liqueur. I have collected a vial of blood liqueur. I now have all of the... That's not the correct... That's not the same have. I now have all the items required by Relmina Verenim. I should return to her. This is a place. All right. Well, it gave me some good things, honestly, and it really wasn't difficult. The ceiling getting destroyed is just weird. Sometimes I have sushi and white wine for breakfast. Sounds pretty good. It's probably not going to do too many bad things to you. Sushi is just mostly rice anyway. If you have a little bit of vinegar and whatnot, that's probably the condiments that you put. You put other things though in there. I don't remember or know. In fact, I've never made sushi, as you probably have guessed. Oh no. These guys are everywhere, and I'm not sure where I'm going. We have been here, though. Oh, yeah. I'm as healthy as a bull. I eat 4-5 times a day, drink a bottle of wine, 24 hours, a glass of martini, whiskey, and cognac, 2-3 times a week, a smoke pot. Daily, I smoke cigarillos or a cigar. I do this since I was around 16, 17 years. I have no health issue. The worst thing was a kidney stone. I got a kidney stone at mostly because I don't drink water nearly enough. I got a kidney stone at the age of 24. But like I passed it by myself, like without going to the doctor. And then I went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, "Yeah, that was a kidney stone." And I'm like, okay. So that was that. I mean, to become a sushi chef, nice. I still have the terrible creatures behind me. I'll show them what's what. Where are they even? It's like... Who's that back there? This is Morrowind as hell. And not in the good way. This is Morrowind as hell because it's all barren. You know what I mean? Okay, we're just can't get rid of the enemies. They're fighting. Oh, I don't need a torch. It wasn't like that, Blood Angel. It was one day, or actually not one day, it was like 1 week. Started having really, really bad pains in my abdomen, in my kidneys. In one of the kidneys specifically. Like, enough pain that I would be really discomfortable. Like really, it hurts a lot. But it's not like toothaches or like a headache that it sort of spreads everywhere because the kidneys don't have nerves. So it doesn't spread. It's just there. So it's just like really, really sharp pain. But I was just like, well, it hurts. I don't know why. I suppose it's gas. Because, you know, gas can be very painful as well. Or at least I think it can be very painful now that I think about it. I was going to say, I have had gas that has been very painful. But then again, I think I haven't had gas since the age of 24. Nah. I had gas when I was a kid. And it can be very painful. And I didn't have a kidney stone as a kid. This is really bad. That dog doesn't go away, and this is bad. So, yeah, I just figured it was gas. And then, all of a sudden, no more pain. And I was like, good job. But then, the next time I went peeing... oh my god! Not because of the pain, but rather because of, Because there were blood. There was blood. Orig,
Speak quickly.
what are you doing out here?
Go.
She's bugged out. Whoa! Yeah, I don't know. I have an enemy behind me. They're gonna go away after a while. Every Friday evening, me and other friends meet at a liquor store, and things look like this. And there's a picture. Harry, you need to look after yourself. I mean, if you do the exams and everything is good. That is a lot. That is a lot. But if you do the exams and if you look after it, because that's really what it means to look after yourself, is just keeping on top of it, then I suppose it's good enough. I was on a 2-day drive to Florida and got stomach bug. I couldn't eat anything without vomiting. Yeah. Isn't that called, like, stomach flu? I don't think I've ever had that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I never had that. Where will help me with Harry's intervention? Oh, boy. Anyway, we're not going there. Are we going there? We're going there. Who here will help me, says Young. Okay, so that's gonna be that for today. I have gone on for a little more than I was expecting, but it's fine because I rendered the videos already and everything is fine. I still need to set them up, but it's easy peasy, and I plan to go back to go to bed before 2 a.m. Hopefully, I will. I've been sleeping badly, so I don't know. Hopefully, we'll do things. But thank you so much for joining me, as always. And I will see you in 5 days' time, which is when I stream again. You know the drill. It's next Tuesday, insofar as today is Thursday, which it isn't. Not for me anyway, because it's Friday already. But you know what I mean. Oh, boy. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Have a good night, everybody. Stay safe. Bye-bye.